Good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Gage, and I'm the Director of Programs here at Student Veterans America. And welcome to NatCon 101, NatCon 2019's Chapter Planning Guide. Here at SVA, we have many different programs that student veterans can take part in. Tonight, we're here to talk about our largest program and event of the year, NatCon. NatCon is more than just SVA HQ's largest event. It is the world's largest gathering of post 9/11 veterans. This year, we have some exciting stuff planned for NatCon 2019, and our hope that you will come away from this webinar not only excited about what NatCon has to offer, but better equipped to get yourself and your chapter to Orlando. If at any time during tonight's webinar you have any questions, please just type them into GoToWebinar, and we will answer them as they come in. Tonight, this webinar will cover hashtag NatCon 2019's logistics, the new cost worksheet, fundraising basics to support attending NatCon, and information on the Lodging Assistance Program. Also, stick around till the end when we will provide a sneak peek at some of NatCon 2019's special events. And don't worry, if you miss any of tonight's details, links to everything we talk about tonight will be attached to the post-event survey you will receive towards the latter part of tonight's webinar. So now that we got the intro out of the way, let's talk about a few things you may or may not already know. SVA's 11th National Conference will take place at the Coronado Springs Resort in Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, January 3rd through 5th, 2019. Student veterans, higher education professionals, alumni, and advocates will have the opportunity to learn from more than 2,000 of their peers. This year, we have 96 informational breakout sessions planned, more than 100 exhibitors planning to attend, 4 general sessions full of special guests, and SVA Honors, our annual awards gala. So now that I got all the basics out of the way, let's dig into the content for the night. So next up is SVA's VP of Research, Dr. Chris Cate, who will be talking about the hashtag 2019 cost worksheet.
Cate from Student Veterans of America. I am the Vice President of Research here at SVA. I have been with the organization in this role for 6 years come Saturday. So 6 years on Saturday is my work anniversary. I'm excited to present here tonight on this webinar for preparations for NatCon 2019. What I am going to talk about is the cost preparation for NatCon 2019 for your chapter. What we've done this year is put together an Excel sheet. It's a basic Excel sheet, but with the estimated costs for NatCon 2019. As you can see, what I've done here is I've basically put in a proxy chapter using George Washington, President George Washington's cabinet. So we have George Washington as the general, John Adams, John Jay, Alexander Hamilton, Henry Knox, and Edmund Rudolph. Now, here's what we've done with this worksheet is that you're able to put in all the names of the chapter members that are coming and what registration fee type they fit in. General being general, non-student, and student being students. And what you do when you put in student, it will automatically update the number of student registration fees and the number of general attendance fees. You can even go back and change it if you need to general or to student. Now this brings up the first question of the segment, which is who should come to NatCon? For us, as many student veterans as possible should come to NatCon, and here's why. Chapter leaders should come to NatCon because it is the best place to learn new best practices as well as network with other chapter leaders and campus leaders. Future chapter leaders should come again for the networking opportunities and to begin learning the best practices of chapter management and chapter governance. And then regular chapter members should come to NatCon because it's a great opportunity to learn new things, to learn leadership skills, as well as interact with vocational and private and corporate leaders. So it's all about the preparation for after NatCon or after graduation and joining the workforce. So in general, everybody should come to NatCon. And before I forget, that's also include chapter advisors as well as admins at your school. There's programming for them, and they will enjoy the networking as well as seeing what NatCon and student veterans are all about. Now, once you have all of your chapter members and their registration fees you're going to click on one of the 3 tabs at the bottom. These tabs correspond with the registration fee types. So we have early bird in green, the regular in yellow, and on-site in red. Obviously, we want to help you cut costs for NatCon, and that means early bird registration. We want as many people to register under early bird as possible. Early bird ends on October 27th, so October 28th and on, you're going to be in regular, and then after December 20th, we're in the on-site. So again, think early bird registration. Now we get into the meat of this worksheet. So we have 4 different areas. The first one being the registration fees. This is pre-populated with both the price per individual for students in general, and as well as the number of individuals that are in those categories. Remember from the attendance list, 5-1, 5-1. These will automatically come over and calculate the total costs for each item as well as the total overall cost. So for 6 people, 5 students, 1 general admission, the total registration cost is going to be $1,100 and $1,165. Now we get into travel. We set this up initially for round trip airfare because most student veterans and most chapters are going to be traveling to NatCon by air. If you're driving or taking the train or other mode of transportation, you can easily update this for that mode and put in the price points there for that. So, but going back for round trip airfare, we use $450, which is about the average. That's usually the standard price currently for airfare, but you're going to want to go to the internet, check some travel sites to make sure that that's accurate for you. Obviously, people from the West Coast, it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive. Hawaii, Alaska as well. Whereas people on the East Coast, it's going to be probably a little bit cheaper. Baggage fees, usually it's $25 per trip, so $50 round trip, and that's calculated. And again, we have the total cost down here. Now, lodging. We're assuming that you're going to be staying at Coronado Springs Resort, where the NatCon is going to be hosted. That is going to be a good deal for Orlando that type of year. We're going to have the conference rates that will open with registration next week. And we figured out, calculated the number of rooms and total nights of 3 and for Thursday, Friday, Saturday for that total, and that gives you that total. If you're staying off-site of the conference, then you're going to want to adjust all of these prices as needed. Now, finally, miscellaneous. This is the general stuff, meals, on-site, conference transportation, and just general odds and ends. For meals, the first full meal, I should say, is going to be Friday morning with breakfast. The conference starts Thursday at 1, so that's after lunch. And Thursday night, we'll have a reception, an opening reception, where we'll be serving light hors d'oeuvres. So you're going to want to plan for dinner that night on your own, as well as breakfast or lunch if you're coming in early. But also keep in mind, if you're traveling that Thursday morning, you're going to want to include meals during your travels. Friday, we'll have breakfast and lunch, but another reception in the evening, so light hors d'oeuvres. And then, so you're going to want to travel, or you're going to want to plan for dinner that night as well on your own. Saturday, different story. We'll have breakfast as usual, lunch as well, but Saturday is the SVA Honors Banquet, so dinner will be provided there. So keep that in mind as you're planning for per diem meals and expenses. We use 59, that's the federal rate. You may want to adjust it as needed. And then on-site conference transportation, this is usually transportation to and from the hotel. But if you're staying at the Coronado Springs, you're going to be part of the reservation is going to include transportation to and from the airport on the Magical Express. Again, if you're staying off-site at a different hotel, you're going to want to factor in about probably $100 round trip per individual for that. And the miscellaneous, again, is just odds and ends that you might want to factor in. Mostly, you don't need to because everything else is already included in the worksheet. Now, again, everything is totaled for that, and then we get the final total, which is for 6 people, 5 students, 1 general registration fee. It's going to be $5,548, which comes to be about $925 per person. That is a lot of money and may seem daunting to you to raise all those funds to come to NatCon, but the next part is going to be discussing that with fundraising ideas and strategies, and that's with Calvin Jensen, my coworker, and I'm going to turn it over to him right now. Thank you so much, and hope you find this worksheet useful.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Calvin Jensen. I am our project manager for our career development initiatives, and I handle our LinkedIn partnership for SVA HQ. Again, I appreciate Dr. Kate for doing the math and crunching the numbers, letting you know just how much it's going to cost to go to NatCon. We're going to go over some basic fundraising principles and some tenets to help you think about considering building partnerships as well as building your chapter network. All right, so some things to consider here. We're going to go over 3 main themes here on our agenda. We're going to go over fundraising 101, some just basic tenets to think about as you're going out engaging with off-campus partnerships, local communities, other student clubs, as well as local community targets, other organizations to be mindful of when you're going out engaging with these relationship building conversations and talking about fundraising. And then, of course, we have the relationship building and planning portion. So fundraising 101, some basic fundamentals for fundraising. Before you start, raising money doesn't happen overnight. You can't expect to, I mean, we hear Rome wasn't built in a day, neither is your chapter. So a successful and thriving chapter is a methodical process. It's built over time, and don't expect to go around, shake hands, and collect business cards, and then people are going to be whipping out blank checks and writing it in your name. That'd be nice if they did, and we wouldn't have this webinar if that were the case across the board. But think of your fundraising and think of your chapter in general. Think of it like a marathon. This is an exercise for you. This is a professional development experience. You're gaining invaluable skills in fundraising, relationship building, communication. All these things help you as a professional, but also help your chapter. Don't think of it like a sprint. Again, these sprints are going to be going around to these fundraising galas, even little things we're doing in building relationships. We have to understand that in order to make money, we've got to spend some money. So whether that's our chapter swag, our merchandise, which is a t-shirt with our logo on it or some stickers, that's going to cost some money. So doing some appropriate budgeting, like we have with our chapter business plan, as well as some of the helpful information Dr. Kate just covered previously, that's something that planning and scheduling fundraisers throughout the year. Now, these are practical things that you can throw on the chapter's calendar throughout the year you're taking part in, discussing your fundraising goals and getting buy-in from the community and your e-board so that each person actively has an understanding about what you want to do strategically. And they can go out, they can recruit volunteers. We have classes, many of us full-time students, maybe not. We're in different organizations, different professional societies, different clubs. We interact with different people in these classes that you can recruit as volunteers. Help build a relationship with those people and develop and cultivate your relationship with student government. I can't stress this enough. If you haven't done it for your chapter, you will need to do this. If school's already started, do it now while it's early on. Early bird gets the worm. But you need to cultivate and develop your relationship with student government, regardless if you're fundraising or coming to NACON. That's a crucial component because they are the representatives for all of the students on your college campus. Now, they're going to have an ear to administrators. They're going to know of things, and that is another communication platform that can reach the wider audience. And of course, like everything else, our VP of Research just covered, research is paramount to fundraising success. Know who you're talking to. Know what sort of funds you are raising. Know about how you can get them. Timelines as far as who you can go to engage with, everything. Research, research, research. And again, start to get comfortable with asking for financial support. Now, this isn't going around, shaking a cup at people or playing kind of the veteran pity card, so to speak. This is going around and identifying your chapter needs and look at it as an investment into the future of your chapter and the student veterans. So there's plenty of research like our National Veteran Education Success Tracker, or INVEST, that Dr. Kate helped put together. That shows demographic breakdowns and how are student veterans doing in higher ed, and we're succeeding at higher rates. And that's a great point to leverage these relationships, that it shouldn't merely or primarily be about money. Some local community targets or different organizations to partner with. There should be two broad questions that should be guiding your fundraising efforts when you're going through budgeting and you're going through your fundraising strategy. How much money do we need to be a successful chapter? Just like how much money is it per person to get to NACON, miscellaneous cost, all of these things to consider with some overhead. Now, what are targets of opportunity in my community? And here we see some buckets here, kind of 6 main areas where there can be some actual fundraising efforts or some revenue streams to help stimulate the chapter. So of course you have your traditional fundraising events, and some of these we'll get into some of the more broad details on next couple slides, but within these fundraising events, those you're establishing these relationships with, those are these individual donors. Now, those can be people, these noble philanthropists, all the way down to someone who just happened to stumble upon campus wanting to connect with the local chapter, maybe looking for some camaraderie. And that could be something you establish a relationship with, you get them bought in as a team member, and that can be someone that they can continually donate to your chapter and its success, as well as the local companies, on and off campus. College campus is this ecosystem. It is a hub of opportunity where local companies are coming to hire these graduates, and student veterans are these successful future graduates. We are successful in higher education, and that's an attractive thing to help pitch to a company, that investment portion. As well as student government, again, I will say this, I can't stress this enough. You need to establish a good working relationship that's mutually beneficial with your student government. And as well as any chapter apparel or gear or swag that you're trying to sell to help, boost your chapter's budget. And then, it's up to you, and given your campus culture, given the culture of your SVA chapter, membership dues, it's not something we require here at the national headquarters, but something to consider. All right, now some different avenues of funding sources that we kind of covered a bit on these pages, but here's some kind of examples we'll just go over real quick. Student government, these, not only is this crucial as far as the relationship building piece and leveraging the experience and leveraging the network of your student government, this is going to be this more direct or single point of contact here, that these student groups have to go through and be authorized by the student government. So they're going to know which clubs are on campus. They're going to know who the points of contact are, and they're going to know of the student clubs, activities, grants, as well as they might know who these grant proposal writers are. When I was a chapter leader at University of Arizona, I helped leverage the expertise of a professional grant writer that was university staff in putting together a white paper with Department of Education as well as our STEM Learning Center for a robust mentorship program that ended up paying a pretty huge amount back to our chapter for these activities and back to the university. All right, some sponsorship opportunities. And we'll hear on the next slide about kind of some low-hanging fruit. That's those who have some linkage to us as veterans, kind of like your local veteran service organizations in your local community, like your American Legion or VFW post. Last month I was in Kansas City, Missouri for the 119th annual National Convention for the VFW. There were thousands of VFW leaders, post commanders, state commanders, you name it. I was our exhibitor there representing our partnership between Student Veterans America and VFW. And I talked to literally hundreds of VFW post commanders, state commanders, and they're all saying, what should we be doing to connect with the local SVA chapter? What do they need? So we said something we would need mentorship, because I guarantee there is a VFW post member, for example, that might be a mechanical engineer. Maybe he's looking for interns or can provide some practical mentorship guidance as a relationship building piece to a student veteran who's pursuing mechanical engineering. And that's kind of to help get the gears turning on some ideas here. But that's mutually beneficial because that can help with these, both of these organizations mutually benefiting one another for fundraising efforts. And then of course, you can't have, just like with your network, you need to expand it past just veterans or veteran groups. Those are good targets, those low-hanging fruit, but look at the local community groups like your Rotary Club. I know that when I was a chapter leader at University of Arizona, we partnered with the Rotary Club out in Tucson, Arizona. Now, these are people that are philanthropists. They're professionals that have been working decades in the local area that are looking to give back. They're connected in sometimes with the local government. And they had a Rotary Club on campus that can help articulate the student voice. And that's a direct feeder back to us. And of course, your local Chamber of Commerce, they're going to have their feelers out to bigger corporations. Here's a couple to name a few. And that would just be dependent on your local Chamber of Commerce, who they're connected to, what they're doing as far as activities and different initiatives in your local area. So I'd encourage you to explore those options, help establish contact and build that relationship with them. Now, Walmart's Foundation for the Community Grant Program and the Coca-Cola Foundation, two examples of it. See if that might work for you. That's something that they have available for you and your chapter. And of course, your traditional fundraisers, look at these through the lens of other student clubs, organizations on your campus. Sometimes these bigger schools, even maybe not so big ones, that literally have hundreds of student-led clubs, organizations, and different interest groups. Many of them have required from their national headquarters that they have to do X amount of community service or philanthropic work or partnership building activities. So your Greek system, your sororities and fraternities are a great example of that. They have a network and they're very bought in to their name. So that is something that it's mutually beneficial. We've had some luck, myself and our former director of chapter support, Mark McKenna, when we were chapter leaders at University of Arizona, just knowing someone in a class and helping leverage that relationship had one of our most successful fundraising events for us as a chapter. Different student clubs, again, going to your student government, they're going to know exactly the needs and wants of these clubs. Do it early. Different professional organizations, whether it's those who were business professionals or those like the law fraternities, these are going to be people that are connected and have their own alumni component to each of these professional organizations. They're also good folks to have in your network. So again, the relationship building piece, building out your network, and then trying to go through these fundraising activities that are mutually beneficial. And your alumni association. If you haven't connected in with your alumni association, many a times they would love to hear that there's actually something called Student Veterans of America. That's exactly what we're doing here with this, our supporting of chapters, our student veterans. So it's showing them we're succeeding, and we could use some good practical mentorship, some guidance, helping connect to the Alumni Association, because they're going to have these foundation funding, different grants they're associated with, and individual donors. Alumni associations are great at getting folks to do the individual donations to the Alumni Association. Relationship building piece and planning will be our last part here. So as we go through and we're developing our plan, again, research the organization, but research their interactions with their key audience. Again, we kind of go over low-hanging fruit, the VFW, those who might need some work, like those that know that there's a college campus and that you may be a student there, but aren't really familiar with SVA or what the SVA chapter does. Maybe they've heard of SVA, maybe they haven't heard of your chapter. And then there's those, swinging for the fences. It may be worth a shot and do everything as a diligent servant leader for your chapter, and be okay with hearing no. It's just a two-letter word. And again, these failures fail moving forward. Hopefully they happen fewer and fewer, but that's part of the resiliency in what we build as a chapter network. And leave them with something practical. Think about it and research and be creative as far as invite them to a chapter event or invite them to tour your vet center and hear about your initiatives for the upcoming year. A bit about what your chapter is, who's a part of it. Maybe volunteer for one of their events or their programs. And then understand and prepare your pitch. Don't have the same skeleton, copy and paste template, elevator pitch. Ditch that pitch. Do your research, find things that you can have some synergy within the conversation about. Now, this can come in two main forms. This can be the written letter, so of our statement of intent, or the letter of support, one of which we have prepared for you, leading to NatCon as to help support your fundraising efforts. It's our NatCon justification letter. So we put in a lot of hard work to help crunch the math, tell you what you need, or what can help you tell you what you need, I should say. And this justification letter is something for you to take a look at and helps build your cause. And it's a good practice too, for them to see a bit behind the ask, a copy of your chapter business plan. So again, we harken back to the business plan. It's something you should have anyway, but your SVA chapter business plan is something that you can bring and they can read between the lines and then see how their involvement might mesh together. And they can see what you're doing throughout the year, not just leading to NatCon. All right, and then the verbal pitch. So don't sound like a salesperson, don't be annoying, don't hound them, don't use the same standard template. It's good to do your research and understand their needs, your chapter needs, if there's some synergy in the conversation between it, a relationship building piece. And then research the community giving campaigns they've been a part of and the causes that they care about, both at the individual level and the organizational level. And know not just your own perspective, what the ask is and how much, but what is going to come across the table. Know that ask. Do your research. See what sort of local initiatives they've taken part in. And then cost per person, all of that, which Dr. Kate has helped us out with, so we appreciate that. And then try and understand the impact tangibly and its return on investment. So in developing your chapter's network, which I will leave you with here, fundraising should not be the only reason you engage with the community. These are things you should be doing anyway. You're helping spread the SVA message, and you are helping make your chapter better than when you found it. So that first crucial step of fundraising is building your relationship first, and them understanding what the relationship is going to look like moving forward. Make the donor feel like a member of the team. So get them bought in, and definitely SVA isn't our only life, our only identity. We're inclusive, here at Student Veterans America. Hopefully you can feel like a part of their team as well. And then take a look at maybe pairing individual mentors or volunteers on both sides of the aisle, in the chapter and outside the chapter, together. So maybe I mentioned earlier, a student veteran that's studying mechanical engineering, pair them up with a mechanical engineer that is in the local Chamber of Commerce, or maybe your Kiwanis or Rotary Club, so that they can explain the investment a bit about by going to NatCon, the individuals and chapter's future, what that looks like. And then, of course, building your foundation into the community. This is what should be happening anyway, but this gives you a practical way of doing it. Show the donor what they did, and these are kind of things as you lead closer to NatCon, especially after NatCon. Don't forget to say those thank yous and show your gratitude. They're a member of your team now. So show them your investment did this. If it takes you crafting a letter or certificate of appreciation, they'll remember those things. And that'll be an important way to leverage that relationship moving forward. And a thank you note, and follow up and connect with them on LinkedIn. Add them as a part of your professional network within 24 hours or less. Okay, so that concludes my portion for this webinar. Up next, we're going to have Ms. Karen Buck. She's going to be talking about our lodging assistance program.
Hi guys, thanks for joining us this evening. As some of you may know, my name is Karen Buck, and I'm a member of the programs team here at SVA. Now when I say here at SVA, I don't mean physically at SVA in Washington, D.C. As you can probably see, it looks like I'm outside, maybe on a patio somewhere, and that is exactly where I am. I'm actually working remotely this week from my mom's house in upstate New York, enjoying the mountains and the pool before fall hits. So I am here giving this webinar. Here to talk to you tonight about the Lodging Assistance Program. Last year, we had a great success with the program. And over the years, we've really struggled to figure out ways that we can help offset the cost of NatCon for our students attending. And we think we'd finally figured it out with the help of Google. So last year, we gave away 36 opportunities and helped 36 different chapters get to NatCon. This year, we're hoping to beat that number. And with the support of Google, we can absolutely do that. So you may notice that I'm wearing a NatCon 2018 t-shirt. This is actually a t-shirt gift from our friends at the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. It is a requirement that you must send me a t-shirt from your school while applying. No, I'm totally kidding about that. but it is required that you have 5 SVA chapter members registered for NatCon 2019. And when you're applying for the opportunity, be sure to have each registered member's contact information, resume, and LinkedIn profile before submitting the application. Now, this application is not open yet, but as soon as it becomes open, you'll be notified on all of our social media platforms, and we're very excited to roll that out shortly. Google is also very excited about the program. This is their second year helping us support this program, and they recognize the impact that NatCon has on student veterans nationally, and they say they're grateful for the opportunity to sponsor the Lodging Assistance Program, and their team is excited to meet all of you in Orlando in January. I know I am just as excited as Google is, and the rest of our team is as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this along to Eric Gage, our Director of Programs, and he's going to discuss with you a sneak peek of the breakout sessions for NatCon 2019, as well as answer a few question and answers. Thanks so much, guys, and I look forward to seeing you in Orlando.
Thanks, Karen. So tonight we have covered a lot of exciting information. And guess what? We aren't done yet. Before we give you a sneak peek about some of the exciting things you can expect to see at NatCon, we wanted to give everyone an opportunity to get their questions answered. So make sure you let us know any questions you have in the text field of GoToWebinar, or shoot us an email at contact@studentveterans.org. So, as promised, here's a sneak peek of just some of what you can expect at NatCon. Sorry, folks, technical difficulties. All right, hopefully you all can see my screen all right. So, as you can see on the screen, this is the back end of our website, and this will be unlocked here after registration opens. But because you're attending this webinar, you get a sneak peek before everybody else. Nobody else will get to see this until registration opens on the 5th. So as you can see, we have a lot of exciting stuff planned for NatCon this year. These are all the breakout sessions you can expect to see on Thursday. There's a lot of exciting things from our corporate partners, from different veteran service organizations and nonprofits that do work in our area, as well as some very exciting content from other student veterans in the area. And, you know, maybe you put in a breakout session and you see yours up here. And as always, there's a few sprinkled in from SVA HQ. So, you know, we wanted to give you all a little bit of a peek on this, but guess what? This, as well as the Excel doc that Dr. Kate was talking about earlier, and everything we've talked about tonight, you'll be able to find attached to the end of the post-event survey. So that should have hit your inbox just a few seconds ago. So anything we talked about, including this, you can find at the end of that survey. So make sure you fill it all the way out to the end, and everything will be available there. All right, so I hope you found tonight's webinar informational. For more information about everything, just check out NatCon 2019's area on the SVA website, studentveterans.org. You all should have received an email containing all of this and the post-webinar survey, so please fill that out, give us your honest feedback. It's how we ensure that what we do here at SVA is serving you, the members. And keep an eye out for registration opening September 5th. And as always, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us here at SVA HQ. You can reach us at contact@studentveterans.org. Look forward to seeing you all January 3rd through 5th at Coronado Springs Resort, Walt Disney World in sunny Orlando, Florida. And I'll see you at NatCon.